So I graduated architecture in 2017. And I worked for a couple of different architecture firms. Right from the start, I knew it's not for me because you have almost zero creative control and you're just a draftsperson at the lowest level. Then in kind of search of the higher money, I went into a big corporation, which is kind of like Amazon. So they sell food from these big warehouses. And I was designing the warehouses for them. But as you imagine, it was pretty boring as well. So the spark was kind of there always, and I knew I wanted something else. I read your book, The Architect and Entrepreneur Innovating Practice, and that gave me kind of few ideas of what's possible. An opportunity came along. My parents asked me to design a sauna for them, and I took it pretty seriously as an architect. I designed a really nice sauna, made a set of plans to be built, and shared it online. And that was kind of the beginning of the change from working for somebody else to working on my own. This was the first kind of step. It was just a side project, for a family. But the breakthrough was when I shared it online on a Facebook group for saunas. Lots of people liked it. I decided, why not offer it to other people if it's going to help my dad to build it? Some other people will appreciate it, and that's a product already. And then it's just a matter of, finding the clients, I suppose. Me and my dad built it together. I documented it as best as I could. And I took notes of, what would I do differently and how we exactly did it. Because as an architect, I'm not obviously a builder, but it's such a good practice to, actually getting your hands dirty. Pretty quickly, I decided to create a digital product from that. So I opened up a very minimalistic e-commerce website.
Okay.
I just put the plans there in a PDF format and set up a payment process just to kind of validate the idea.
Okay.
And I sold, I think in the first month, I sold 2 or 3 designs. And then I knew, okay, if I can sell 2, that means I can sell 10.
That was kind of your minimum viable product. What did that actual
exactly.
product look like?
The PDF had about 16 to 17 pages.
Okay.
And it was just literally plan sections, elevations, details, electrical plans, couple schedules. It was very detailed for such a small project. It was actually too much information probably. But for a small project, I was able to do it pretty quickly.
Okay. So the minimum viable product is literally just a PDF that you're putting out there to sell. And you sold a certain number of these things in the first month and you thought, okay, this might be viable. What were the metrics that you used to say, this could be a real business?
I had a look on the numbers on the website. Okay, so like how many people are viewing the product, how many are buying the product, and potentially how much could I, expand. Originally, the website and the plans were in Polish only.
Okay.
And Poland has 38 more or less million people. It's obvious that English-speaking countries have much more people, and I would be able to sell many more designs. So that was an obvious kind of thing early on. I just knew that, if you have a product that people are willing to pay, X amount of money, there's probably more people like that in the world. You just have to kind of go and find them. It's an issue that you have to kind of solve.
So did you wait till you had that solved to leave your job? Like, what was the break point where you left the firm that you were working for?
The decision was made for me, really. So I was working 2 jobs, so my own homemade sauna business and the Ocado corporate job for about, I think, 2 years, both jobs. And then, there are cuts in the big corporation. So my whole department was let go, about 20 people. And, it was very stressful because a cushy job with, steady paycheck, is very scary at the start. But then after a month or 2, I landed a big custom project for a startup from the States. That gave me like a good feeling that, okay, this is going to be fine. You just have to relax and, just keep doing it, keep expanding, keep working on your business.
How much time were you putting into the side hustle at the time versus your real full-time job? I presume it was a full-time job.
Yeah. The time issue is very important because, if you're working 8 hours a day in a normal job, then you have maybe 2-3 hours on your side job. So I really had to focus on things that matter the most. So for example, creating the plans in English that allowed me to 4x my income, focusing on marketing in terms of the blog and search engine optimizations, all those things that are scalable. That's the things that are worth doing.
Everyone has the same number of hours in a day. It's just what we choose to do with those little, there's a lot of this actual filler time that you have. You get up in the morning, maybe you're doing some doom scrolling, you have lunch, and so it sounds like maybe you were taking some of these pockets of time and you had kind of a prioritized list to dig into. And when you had those pockets of time, you worked on the sort of prioritized list first.
Yeah, exactly. So definitely have a list of things to do. The big thing that helped me in terms of time and progressing the business was doing at least one piece of something every day, even if you don't feel like, finishing half a drawing or, doing that detail or researching what's the best email software or something like this, just keep progressing, keep adding. And
so by the time this layoff comes around, you have kind of a basic form of a business. It was making sales at that time?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was making, let's say, 4 to 6 a month, maybe on average sales.
4 to 6 sales. And what were you selling these at the time? I want to talk about pricing, but what was that? Sure. What did that roughly equate to?
It's important to highlight that I live in Poland and the cost of living is a lot less. So the prices are not going to translate to America so much in terms of like my own earnings. I started selling plans for $50 a piece, which at the time I was thinking, it's so much, no one's going to buy it, but people bought it. Some people complained still that it's a lot, but now I know it's dirt cheap. And then I slowly increased the price until I kind of hit a point where I saw a decline in sales. And I think that's the kind of sweet spot. So right now I have plans from $250 to $500. Yeah, now it's just kind of, the pricing now is kind of steady and I focus more on marketing.
As I compare that to your earnings from your full-time work, was it 10% of what you were bringing home in a month, or what did that look like?
Yeah, it was probably 20%.
Okay.
Or something, yeah.
So it starts to feel like something real, but I imagine when you're let go and you're kind of in free fall, right? You're trying to build the plane to support your family. That probably feels pretty tenuous when you got to come up with the other 80% to support your lifestyle.
It's obviously stressful, but what helped me was I read a few books on personal finance. And one of the things that comes up is to have a financial cushion. So save up for 3 to 6 months of your expenses. And that just puts your mind at ease that you don't need to, hurry and find a crap job that you're not going to like and you're just going to waste more time. So just to compare to my corporate job, we had 2% yearly increase. Now it's a lot more, obviously. Yeah, I've hit twice the double salary a while ago. I think it was a year or more ago. And now it's getting into a triple or sometimes quadruple. It's slow and it's very like up and down. So some months I'm, down, like not selling much, and then another month is up high. So yeah, it's very up and down.
Well, tell me about that, because that is a huge transition that I felt personally, this lumpy income. When you're running your own business, not every month is going to be the same.
It's stressful sometimes because it's so up and down. But when it's stressful, I just look back at the last 12 months, take the average and see if that's more than I made before. And if it's more, then I'm okay with that.
Do you lean into like, I have to do more work? Because I think this is where I came from personally. There's this kind of financial scarcity mindset that I held for a very long time. And I thought, okay, if the revenue is not coming in, all that means is I need to work harder.
Yeah, it's a very good topic actually, because if you're in full control of your income and your time, that's a big thing to kind of manage. You have to manage yourself and your time. You have to manage your emotions as well. Because if you get scary and there's no sales for the last 4 days, what am I gonna do? It's all going down. You just have to kind of relax and, focus on, I suppose, other things. I've picked up new hobbies, and now I'm spending probably 4 hours on my core business, and the other 4 hours is on learning new things, hobbies, and new ventures and stuff like this. 3D printer is great. I got one recently, and it's literally life-changing. As a completely, side story, I got involved into RC planes hobby and drones, things like this. And it's great for that. I developed a device that it's called VRX. It's a visual receiver for whatever the drone is looking at. And I built an enclosure for it. But here's the thing. I shared it online again, and people loved it. And somebody asked me to manufacture it. So it's another, business. I told them I'm not going to manufacture because I don't have the time. As architects, we have such a unique set of skills that we can use and apply in everyday life. It doesn't have to be architecture. We can model stuff in 3D and 3D print it and post it online. That's a business. There's so many things that it's just, I suppose, a matter of experimenting and finding it.
What's next? If I think about designing saunas for the rest of my career, I might get a little bored with that. So have you thought about how that's going to impact your professional life? Like what if your interests change?
Yeah, sure. Great question. I'm already not getting bored, but obviously, you can only explore so much in terms of saunas. So for me, the next step is going to be the design and build business. It's going to be called Yuki Saunas. So the plan is to start setting up a good, proper business where everything is kind of well ordered, and eventually transition into cabins where we manufacture and deliver and install just a kind of vacation homes, cabins, all in this very nice minimalistic Japanese style. So that's the idea. I'm really kind of hands-on person as well, so I like to kind of touch things and see how it's made and maybe help a bit, and so that's a bit exciting for me, I think.
Amazing. Well, it's been great talking to you. I'm inspired by the vision and the dedication that you've put into executing on the vision, because that's really what it takes.
Yeah. And thanks for writing the book. It was really helpful, the architect and entrepreneur. That's what, inspired me to kind of go and do it, really.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you found inspiration in it. It's always fun hearing from people who said, hey, this got me to start doing this. Wojciech's story is a reminder that success rarely starts with a grand plan. It starts with a small problem, a willingness to solve it, and the persistence to improve. What matters isn't perfection or always getting it right, it's momentum. So he didn't set out to build a business, he set out to make something useful, and then the business kind of followed. So if you're curious how he turned that small step into something scalable, you can download the free PDF below. And it's not just the details on his pricing, the marketing, and startup costs. It's a glimpse into what's working for him right now and how he's thinking about the next phase of growth. Don't be afraid to start small. What matters more is the starting.